According to the book of Exodus, the story of the Ark dates back to ancient Egypt in the 13th century BCE. The Exodus is one of the most famous stories ever told. Moses and the Israelites survive a plague that takes the firstborn sons of the land. Moses leads the Israelites out of the land of Egypt, and they move across the Red Sea, where the waters miraculously part when he holds up his magical staff. They arrive at a mountain in which God gives them the 10 Commandments. The Israelites build a holy vessel, a sacred box to hold these tablets of the commandments. It's called the Ark of the Covenant. The Bible gives a very clear description as to what the Ark of the Covenant looks like. God himself is in fact the architect of this, and so it was very precise about the measurements and the way that it has to be built. It's made of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits long, 1.5 cubits wide, and 1.5 cubits high, or about 52 inches long, 31 inches wide, 31 inches high. It's covered entirely in gold, inside and out. It has 4 gold rings on which poles are attached for it to be carried. Finally, it's topped off with an ornate gold lid that has 2 sculptures of cherubim on top. According to the Old Testament, the Israelites carry the ark for 40 years wandering through the desert. Along the way, it displays great power. Eventually, the ark is brought to Jerusalem, where King Solomon builds the first Jewish temple at a place called the Temple Mount. He houses the ark inside within a special room called the Holy of Holies. The temple is completed by around 950 CE, and for 4 centuries it becomes the center, sort of the thrumming heart of the kingdom of Israel. The Ark of the Covenant was the focal point of religious devotion, place where God spoke to the world. Then, war breaks out in 587 BC. The Babylonians attack Jerusalem and finally destroy this city after a 30-month siege. And the Babylonians are absolutely brutal. They tear down the temple. They also set Jerusalem on fire and everything burns, including, perhaps, the Ark. This isn't just a Bible story. We have archaeological evidence that the Babylonians destroyed Jerusalem. Babylon loots the city before it burns, and we have some records of some of the things they took. But something that's never mentioned in any of those records is the Ark of the Covenant, something that would have certainly been mentioned had they taken it. So a large amount of historians believe that the Ark of the Covenant was in Jerusalem up to 587 BC. After that, it's almost entirely absent from the biblical text. Over the years, theories have placed the powerful Ark of the Covenant everywhere from Ethiopia to Ireland, but historians remain skeptical that it could have traveled so far from Jerusalem. If the Ark existed and survives, it's probably somewhere in the Middle East. With the Babylonians closing in around the destruction of the temple, the Jews would not have had very much time, and so the best thing to do would just to have been to hide it. It's not like they can take it on a long voyage. They would have probably had to carry it on foot. It probably didn't travel very far. So you're definitely left with a limited radius in which to look. Could they even have gotten the ark out of Jerusalem? Some theorists note that before the Babylonians actually laid siege to the city, they actually surrounded it for a couple of years, and it would have been impossible to have smuggled anything in or out. But in 2007, a new discovery challenges that thinking. A team of archaeologists, Ronnie Reich and Eli Shukron, discovered what they call an escape hatch, a tunnel running from the Temple Mount all the way down outside of the city. The tunnel has walls that are up to 10 feet tall. That's plenty of space for a group of priests to have smuggled out considerable numbers of objects, including the Ark of the Covenant. This tunnel leads under the city walls to the Kidron Valley. So now we have a possible escape route for the Ark of the Covenant. The discovery of this tunnel connects a lot of the biblical dots of the story of the Ark. The book of 2 Maccabees suggests that Jeremiah, the prophet, takes the Ark of the Covenant and the temple treasures out of the city. So here's the big question. If this tunnel is the Ark's escape path leading to the Kidron River, where does it go from there? According to Ark hunter Jim Barfield, there's only one possible answer. The Kidron River heads east, and then it branches off into the Qumran River, which leads past an ancient settlement, also called Qumran. Qumran is famous because that's where the Dead Sea Scrolls are found. I've been studying Qumran for 25 years, and I believe it's the resting place of the Ark of the Covenant. As an archaeological find, the Dead Sea Scrolls are huge. Most of the scrolls are papyrus or parchment, and most of them contain stories and scriptures. But one of them, discovered in 1952, is made of copper. It dates back to the 1st century. The copper scroll is not a Bible story. On that copper, they have hammered instructions to find treasures from the Temple of Solomon, which I believe includes the Ark of the Covenant. The copper scroll lists 64 places
At this time, 3:13 p.m., where various items are hidden, including hoards of gold and silver. The text is vague and difficult to decipher, possibly to prevent outsiders from discovering the location of these sites. The text gives a number of directions to landmarks that only locals would likely have known, like it's in the salt pit under the steps, or in the cave of the old washer's chamber on the 3rd terrace. Barfield was a fire investigator for 23 years. After dedicating his life to solving mysteries, he turns his attention to this one location. One on the copper scroll describes 17 talents of silver service vessels. That's around 1,200 pounds or $340,000 of pure silver. But of course, it's priceless as an archaeological 3:13 p.m. find. This copper scroll says it's at the steps heading east 40 cubits long. That's about 65 feet in Qumran. Barfield is only able to find one location with steps heading east. When I get there, I measure the steps and they are exactly 40 cubits long, and I am absolutely convinced that those service vessels are buried at that location. Remember, this is Field's first visit out there. He's not part of any dig, he's just really trying to line things up. Next, Barfield turns his attention to finding location number 2. A second location on the copper scroll says in the dry cistern at the great ruined courtyard of the peristyle in the soft seafloor is hidden polished gold. In front of the uppermost opening are 900 talents. That's an incredible 33 tons of polished gold. So now Barfield is looking for a cistern and a courtyard, but he's still not sure that the copper scroll is referring to places in and around Qumran. He believes, though, that the sites keep lining up for him. And when I found the location of the cistern, it was easy to determine because there was a great courtyard there that matched the description of the copper scroll. Barfield is excited, and he believes that he's found the 33 tons of polished gold in this location. Unfortunately, Barfield lacks permission to dig, so he can't verify the gold is here, but he's looking for a much more valuable prize. Locations 1 and 2 are lining up, but my ultimate goal is to find location number 3, which could hold the temple treasures of King Solomon and the Ark of the Covenant. The copper scroll describes this location as being at the north end of the Hill of Coquelet. Whatever the ancient Jews used to refer to as the Hill of Coquelet, it's been lost to the sands of time. I realized that the hill couldn't be within Qumran because there's no hills within the ruins of Qumran, but there are several nearby. Barfield studies satellite imagery to identify a potential candidate for the Hill of Coquelet. Not only does Barfield find a hill that seems to match, when he gets there, there appears to be a cave that's sealed shut. To him, it doesn't look like a natural rock formation. He believes the cave's location may also be a clue. When I looked at this location on my map, locations 3, 2, and 1 were in a perfectly straight line. It was as if whoever wrote this document was leading me to this specific location. Barfield is eager to prove this cave is hiding something. I decided that I would take a sample of this stone and send it off to a lab in Skokie, Illinois, where we had it examined. And they find that it is man-made mortar in a common mixture and formula from that time frame. Why would somebody seal a random hill with concrete? So James Barfield takes all of this evidence and requests the permission of the Israeli authorities to conduct a dig. They don't go that far, but they do allow him to return in 2014 with a parliamentary delegate named Moshe Feiglin. This time, he's able to bring in more advanced equipment. What we decided to do was buy an industrial metal detector before I went back. We took that metal detector and I buried 30 pounds of silver in my front yard to get a baseline to make sure that what we were seeing, we could judge it against whatever we might find at Qumran. Back in Qumran, we scanned the courtyard of the peristyle, and as we got close, we just clipped the edge where the 33 tons of gold were buried, and the ratings just went off the charts. And when we get to location number 3, the metal detector confirms my suspicions that this is the mother lode. According to Barfield's results, the metal detector finds 5 times the amount of metal in location number 3 than the 33 tons of gold posited for location number 2. I've already proven that something is down there. Now we've got to dig it up and see what it is. The copper scroll, the biblical text, the map, the mortar, the metal detector ratings, all of these leave me with no doubt. In this sealed cave are the greatest treasures of Israel. When they finally give us permission, do the excavation, we're going to be face to face with the Ark of the Covenant.